I'm telling you guys right now that Amy better be happy that her siblings are the type of people that they are, because had that been me, that situation would have ended very differently towards the end. But I'll save it for the end. Hey guys, Tisha here. Welcome back for another 1,000 Pound Sisters review. At the end of last episode, Amanda left the restaurant with her children. Well, not her children, Amy's children, because they were cranky and tired. So we see Misty and Chris talking to Amanda about how their food was and things of that nature. And Amanda lets them know and us know that she told Amy on the ride home that although she understands that she's struggling, Amy at some point is going to have to get to the point where she's able to do this on her own. So Amanda says, we came home. I knew the boys were tired, so I laid them down and got them ready for bed because they needed it. They were tired. She says when she told Amy that she's going to need to get it together, Amy told her that it's so exhausting. And Amanda's like, duh, yeah, it's exhausting. Because contrary to what Amy has been telling to us and how she's been trying to make it seem as if she was this single parent and Michael did absolutely nothing, based on the way that we've seen her spiral, I believe that Michael did more than what she said. Michael was helping her at some point, despite what she's saying. Maybe he was not as hands-on as he should have been at times. Maybe he only wanted to watch one child at a time, but he was doing something. So she talks about, Amanda does, how she was really looking forward to the dinner, so much so that not only was her dress new, but her undies were new too. They have a little joke about that whole situation. No need to get into that. And Amanda was saying how she let Amy know that, you know, just because you're feeling overwhelmed and things of that nature doesn't mean that you should be sitting there crying, because your crying isn't helping the situation. Because what happens is you're crying, you're upset, the kids feel it and they feed off of it. This is true. All of us can agree that that's true. She tells her, Amy does, that she only acts this way when she's not at home. This is not something that she does at home. And we know that's not true because we've seen the blow-ups when she's home. We've seen her at home. Maybe they went out to eat and it happened, but at home getting frustrated and leaving out. We saw her at home at the restaurant leaving out. We saw her with Tammy at the house when they were doing the welcome back Tammy party and she got frustrated and she left out. She always gets frustrated and leaves out. She blows up at home the same way she does in these other places. Chris says that we try to coach her, and when we do, what he's noticed is that it goes left. Amanda says that's because when we do it, she feels like we're cutting her down as a mom. And this is going to sound cruel, but I'm going to keep it really, really honest in this episode because I want them to stop helping her. If them helping her causes her so much distress and so much frustration, then allow Amy to fall on her face and do it on her own. Because at this point, it's just yet another excuse that Amy can use as to why she's responding the way that she's responding. According to Amanda, she's a good mom who's made some mistakes. And I can't agree with that. I feel like Amy is a selfish mom. You can't be selfish and parent a child. It's not healthy. And Amy is not in a healthy place. Chris says Amy can't want help and then get mad when she gets it. Misty says because it's becoming an issue because what she expects is for us to do it for her. And that's true, which is why I said that they need to stop and they need to allow Amy to do it on her own. Since she left Michael, she has not been doing it on her own. All of the various siblings have been taking turns and they've been helping with her. Michael has left their home. Michael is at his home with his mother. But yet you have Amy who's using the excuse of this was the scene of the crime and it just hurts her as to why she's not there with her sons at the house, establishing some form of routine for them, which is evident that they need. Instead, she's in Tammy's space, imposing upon her. Selfish. It's the second day, and the family is going to go dolphin watching. Amy is in confessional saying that she doesn't know what happened with Gage because he used to be so well behaved in restaurants. And I got to say, what happened is he got older. Gage was easier to control when he was younger, but he has now developed a personality of his own. And rather than having him to adjust to, I don't know, sitting in a high chair, she allows him to roam and control the narrative in the situation and go from lap to lap and person to person when he needs to be sitting down in that seat eating his food. And if he's not going to eat his food, sit down in that seat, watch a tablet, self-soothe, whatever it is that you have to do, but you're not going to be running around here. She says, ever since her and his daddy broke up, he's been a hellion in the restaurant. And I said, how is Amy sitting here saying this with a straight face? Like, we don't know that even when they were together, his behavior was an issue. We saw her and Michael go and take family portraits with the kids at the beginning of the episode, and he was a hellion there too. Not listening to her. You got the photographer and the assistant chasing the kid around. Like, we're not going to sit here and act like this is just abnormal for him and he's just acting out because his father isn't there. Come on now. You don't hear him calling for his dad. He can say dad. He's not calling for him. So what are you talking about? They get on the boat, and Amanda said that Amy's in a good mood, so she doesn't even want to talk about the whole restaurant thing, because that's what they do. They push stuff under the rug. Tammy gets on the boat. Despite being nervous about her mobility, we see her walk up there, and they talk about how at one point Tammy fell off like a tube boat, but this should be much better. We see them go out on the water. Tammy is holding Glenn. Amy is holding Gage. And the whole time I was nervous because they were right by the railing. And I was like, oh my goodness, what if one of those kids slips out of their hands? Especially the one that acts up all the time, because this would not be a good place for him to play around. I don't see any life vest on them or anything like that. I was just freaking out. But it was all right. So they made all types of jokes. Tammy is all smiles. You see the childlike side of her, and Amanda's sitting there smiling at her sister, watching her have all these experiences. Excuse me, for the first time. A storm comes and they end up having to head back because you hear the thunder and stuff. So they did not get to see the dolphins. We then see Caleb and Tammy talk on the phone. She gives him a view of the water and says, look at what you're missing. He says he's a little jealous. According to him, it hurts because he was supposed to be on this trip and this was supposed to be like their honeymoon. They keep saying this, but I'm trying to figure out how he was going to be able to go on this trip with a trach. Because the way that Caleb has been doing things, at no point was he going to get there with that. She shows him the bathroom with the jacuzzi tub and the big bed and tells him that she has the master and she misses him and she wishes he could be there. And he feels like Tammy is leaving him behind while she checks all these things off her bucket list. He lets her know that there's a carnival or /fair, and a few of them from the center are going to go and ride up there. Now, when he said he was going to ride up there, I thought he meant like they were going to take them there, but he literally meant take his wheelchair and ride up there. That's what he did. He says that the carnival probably won't be anything major, but it's a step forward to actually living life. The only thing to me that I thought he would be able to do at the carnival was to eat fair food and maybe play some of the games because he struggles with mobility, and obviously there's a weight limit on a lot of rides. He tells her, don't worry, he's not going to be spending $300 on food, but he may try to get like a burger. And he would love for it to be an ostrich burger. They joke around about that, and that's the end of that scene. We then find out it's the last full day of vacation. So Chris wants to go parasailing. Amy and the kids are resting because she feels like they'll be calmer at the house. What I noticed is that they said Amy and the kids, but I believe that Amanda's son was there too, because we did not see him anywhere in the footage of them being at the beach. And everybody else is going to be watching from the beach because, according to Chris, they're chickens. So the ladies are scared and wondering why Chris would want to put himself in danger like that. Chris talks about how he has to take advantage of this because this is something that he would have loved to done before, but he would have never been able to do it at 500 pounds. And that losing the weight has allowed him to see that the sky's the limit. We see him and Brittany get on the boat, and she's scared and freaking out as you see him going up in the air, and he reaches up to 500 feet and he is having a ball while she literally is like scared that he's going to drop in the water. After he's done, he says that that was the greatest 7 to 10 minutes of his life, that it was so freeing and so beautiful, and he really enjoyed it. We then see the ladies at the beach, and they're asking Tammy if she wants to walk up by the water, which is not too far, but Tammy is scared and she doesn't want to do it. We then see that the ladies go up, and Tammy is sitting there with her head down crying. She said it's because she's missing Caleb, and she feels guilty for enjoying things that he should be enjoying as well. But I feel like it's more than that. I feel like Tammy was legitimately scared. And she just didn't want to say that because she felt like her family should already know she's afraid of falling. But Amanda said, like, this sand is nothing like the other sand. It's firmer. The waves aren't as choppy. Like, Tammy would have been good. But if Tammy doesn't feel comfortable, Tammy's not going to do it. I kind of wish she tried, but I get it. If she's afraid she's going to fall and she won't be able to get up, and she's experienced that before, who am I to blame her for not trying? At least she did, like she said, come to at least one part of the sand. The sisters come back from being in the water. Tammy won't tell them what's wrong, and Chris comes back, sees something that's wrong, asks her if she wants to the water. She tells him no, she doesn't want to go. Stop asking her, and she doesn't want to talk about what's wrong. She said, y'all keep asking me, and I'm ready to flip out, because she never said that she wanted to go in the water. This is where they need to learn to communicate with each other, because all Tammy should have had to say was no. I have no desire to go in the water. Leave me alone. And that should have been it. Don't keep pressuring her if you know that she's not ready. I get it that you're excited because she's willing to try more things. But Tammy points out, like, look, the fact that I'm in this sand is a step. Take that, and maybe next time I'll make more steps. Tammy wants it to be enough that she's in the stand, and Chris thinks that she's holding herself back partially because Caleb isn't there. We then flash back to Caleb, who hasn't been honest. He tells us he hasn't been honest. He says he hasn't been honest with Tammy, and that his emotional eating is a lot worse than what he's mentioned, to the point where he's been spiraling even more since she left. Knowing what's happened, I always struggle with his scenes, and I felt it even more in this episode. But I'm going to say what I wrote in my notes, which is carry your butt to therapy and get some counseling for your food addiction before you can no longer fight for yourself anymore. While talking to production, he says that friends are keeping his mind off of Tammy, and you see him coughing really, really badly. And we find that he has to now do 2 breathing treatments a day. He claims to be getting better, but 2 breathing treatments a day and the way he was coughing didn't sound like he was getting better. We see him ride to the carnival with one of the friends from the center. He plays some games, wins a little stuffed animal, has a moment where he's talking to the producers, and everything about this scene to me felt like it was the end. And I don't know if this is our last time seeing him, because we know in the next episode that it looks like Tammy is going to be wearing all black and she's going to be crying. So I assume it's some type of memorial service. But seeing him look into the camera and say, Tammy Slayton, I love you. I'm getting this surgery and I'm going to be better in life, made my stomach turn in a knot because we know it didn't happen. So now we're to the part where I get pissed off. It's the last night and the family is eating steak and seafood. Amy comes out with the baby and says to Tammy, which side do you want your son on? Because Amy is going to take full advantage of having her siblings being there to help her. As soon as she puts Glenn down in the high chair, he starts crying while he's next to Tammy. Tammy points out that Amy really doesn't have a schedule for them, which causes them to be cranky. And she adds, when they're cranky, the mama's cranky. I don't remember how many episodes ago, but I do recall saying that those kids needed a schedule. She then says, when the mama's cranky, the rest of us get cranky. We see Chris dump the seafood out on the table, and I can't help but notice that in the seafood, he has potatoes. If Dr. Now were here, Dr. Now would say carbs is a no. I've seen throughout this episode that they were drinking various drinks and things of that nature. Even on the table, I see what looks like a Sprite. All the labels are taken off, but I clearly see the soda bottle shape with the green top, and I think it was a Sprite. And my thing is, these are things that they are definitely not supposed to be having, which may be one of the reasons why some of them have not been reaching their goals the way they're supposed to, including Chris. Even though Chris looks good, he's not where the doctor thinks he should be. I'm interested in seeing what their official weigh-ins, what Misty and Amanda's official weigh-ins look like, because I want to see how close they're coming to their goals. Amanda finally comes to the table, and we see her son Justin laid on the couch sleep. They try to get him to come in there, but he's tired. Probably because I think he was at home with Amy, helping her with those kids when the rest of them were out on the beach. Which means, even though she's trying to act like she does it by herself, he was taking care of those kids. Glenn is crying because he's tired. Amy says he's sleepy, but I want to finish eating first. Tammy says, where's his bottle? Like Tammy was willing to feed him. Amy gets up and says, never mind, I'm done. She goes to feed him, and she tells us that there are times where she goes without eating for days because of her kids. Who believes that? I mean, who believes that? And if it's true, create a schedule and start having them adhere to it so that they have some type of structure in their life so you can sit down and eat, because you should be able to eat with them. Especially if they're eating table food. What's the problem? Put them in their their high chairs. Get your other son a little booster thing and strap it down, because they have all types of stuff nowadays. Get him one of those suction cups that he can't throw, and teach him how to eat his food out of a plate like normal people, rather than from your hand to his mouth. Amy is the problem. So Chris said, even though Amy is overwhelmed, she's going to get to a point where she's going to miss these kids being young. But the problem is, it doesn't get any easier as they get older. What it does get is more expensive. Amy comes back from putting her son to sleep, and now she says she's going to feed Gage. Rather than teaching him to sit at the table or in a high chair, she brings the food to him where he is at on the couch playing with his tablet. Her siblings say to her, not on the couch. And she says, I just want to see if he wants a bite. Amanda says sometimes Amy is slow to what they're telling her, because why would you want to feed your child on the nice rental couch? And I said, because these are the types of things that Amy does at home. If she does not sit them down in those high chairs and at the table when it's time to eat, creating a routine for them at home, of course they're going to continue to expect to do what they normally do, which is be chased after while they eat by Amy. The struggle that we see them have at restaurants is because they don't sit down at home. How do you expect them to do it in a restaurant when you aren't teaching them to do it at home? They give Gage some asparagus to see if he likes it. He eats the asparagus. He likes it. Meanwhile, his Aunt Tammy doesn't. Amy is doing different things and they're telling her what to do. And Amy says, I'm so tired of y'all telling me what to do. She then tells us how vacation is a lot of work for her because she has 2 babies and she's constantly holding one. And then she has to constantly make sure the other one doesn't touch things that they're not supposed to. Understand that the same thing that she's doing at the vacation house is what is done at home. It's just a different setting. The only thing that's different about this place is it has stairs and an ocean behind them. Amy talks about how anxious she was because of the stairs and the other things in the house. So Chris says next time you need to bring certain things to childproof various areas of the house. She says, I'm lucky because they had the playpen with the high chair and stuff. So Amanda says, that's not your playpen. What in the hell did you bring for the kids then? And Amy says, nothing. I personally don't know why Amanda is surprised by this. When have we seen Amy take any type of bag or diaper bag when she's going places? A lot of times we don't. I remember when my child was a child, I think I had, well, it went from a diaper bag to a book bag, but up until like the age of 3, I had that. Because he was potty trained before he was 2. But, you know, kids sometimes spill or have accidents or whatever. So I had to change of clothes and other little goodies and stuff in that bag. That's what you do. That's what parents do. Chris asks if anybody has room for dessert because he has a peach cobbler that we know that he should not be eating. I'm just saying. Oh, what did I just do? Y'all, I didn't hit something. Give me a moment. I'm hoping that they're just eating like this because of vacation. So they then put up a sign that says, after dinner, Tammy and Amy begin to argue about how to get Glenn back to sleep. You hear Amy say, what the F are you doing, Tammy? Tammy says, I'm trying to help you put him back to sleep. Amy feels like Tammy is nagging. Amy says, I take care of him every night, alone. Then you got Tammy standing over her like a parent fussing at her child, talking through her teeth. I said, who is she talking to? There are moments where they talk to her like a child, but she acts like a child. Amy gets up with the baby and she says, I'm going home now. Now, when she said it, I said, okay, nobody needs to say anything to her at this point because how is she going to get home? The girl can't drive. All Justin had to do was say no. But Amanda says, you aren't going anywhere with those boys. It's 12 hours before we all have to go. She then runs up to Amanda and says, with the baby in her hand, you promised to help me with the kids and you haven't. Because as I said before, Amy doesn't do things by herself. She never has. Like, never. So you hear Amy say, come on, Glenn, let's go. Amanda says, again, you're not going anywhere with those boys. Amy tells her, you are not my boss. You think you're everybody's boss, but you're not, Amanda. You then see Chris walking because he knows that this is going to turn into something. But he don't get over there in time enough. Amanda then says, you are not making my son drive you anywhere. He has not gotten any sleep. He's tired. I agree with Amanda, but I wouldn't have even said that to her. You then hear Amy say, get the F out my face, Amanda. Get the F out my face. And she pushes Amanda. Amanda blocks her from hitting her again. Yeah, y'all just gonna have to be mad at me. Because I would have knocked Amy out. I'm gonna be honest. I would have knocked Amy out. I would have laid Amy out. I am triggered. I I am triggered. I'm trying to calm you down. And you proceed to not only cuss me out, get all up in my face, but you kind of try to mush me. Nah. Amy then tells her, I'm not playing anymore with you, you big B. The whole word. Amy says, I'm tired of everybody lord and mastering over me. You then have Misty yelling at her, telling her to go to her room and calm down. Amanda at this point runs off because Amanda is livid. And I don't know where Amanda's bleeding, but Amanda says she's bleeding. Chris is blocking her while she's going off and she's saying that she's leaving. He says, Amy, nobody is driving 10 hours. He then says in confessional, nobody is driving 10 hours because Amy wants to throw a fit. He says, Amy, you're being ridiculous. We're helping you, but you got to calm down. She says, I'm going home tonight. Even if I have to call Michael, I will. Yeah, right. You don't even, this is the same girl who tells us that she couldn't even look at Michael in the face in the courtroom, but you want us to believe that you would call Michael to drive 10 hours to come and get a woman that he's no longer with, who acted or was manipulated and taken advantage of by him. We'll say that because I don't know the other things that happened. And he's going to come all the way to come get you. Yeah, right. She said, you all said you were going to help me. Where's my help? There's 20 people in this house and I'm here all by myself. Amy needs to grow up. There are people with far less help and far more kids that get it done every day, that have to work 8-hour jobs and come home and be parents to little babies. But here you are complaining when your job is to film for a show and take care of your kids and get whatever disability check that you get. Because she was getting that before the show. She's a mom with 2 children and a decent amount of money. Go to some parenting classes or hire a nanny that will do it for you. She then says she needs breaks too. So she needs breaks too, but she doesn't want to give Michael 50-50 custody of those children. She needs breaks too, but she tells us that she wants to do like 70-30, where he only has them 30% of the time. She needs breaks too, but we've seen Tammy and other siblings and nieces and nephews helping her since she left Michael. Send her back to that house and let her get a break. Chris says, you can't say that we haven't been here helping you because everybody's been helping you. But she doesn't want to hear it. She says she's going and that's it. Of course, because she doesn't want to hear the truth. Chris gets pissed off by what she's saying and ends up storming out the door too. So at this point, she's pissed off Tammy. She's pissed off Chris. She's pissed off Amanda and a little bit of Misty. Amy is standing there like a bull, huffing and puffing at Amanda because Amanda comes back in. And Amanda tells her, if you touch me again, I'm going to bury your ass. And Amanda, all I have to say is she would have been calm by now. If you just did like what I said to do and you knocked her out, she would have been calm. All that other stuff that happened after that would have been avoided. I'm just saying. She says, I need to go. Just take me home. And Amanda says, no. We then see Amy collapse on the floor crying. I guess I'm heartless because I would leave her right there crying. Because one thing that you're not going to do, and that it's going to take me a while to excuse if I ever do, is putting your hands on me. You hear Amanda telling some of her siblings that if Amy comes there again in her face and she does something like that again, that she has every right to protect herself. Amanda says she's just shocked at what Amy did, that Amy put her hands on her, and she just wants it to kind of sink in. She said because beating her ass isn't what she needs to do. We then see Amy coming, looking for Amanda, trying to say she's sorry. Me personally, that wouldn't work for me because we already seen her snap at her for no reason. And then you want to touch me. I can't. You're not a person that I would feel safe around because I know what I'm capable of. I had a friend years ago. I'm not the same person, you all. I was in my 20s. That mushed me in my face. And when I say I blacked out, I blacked out. I remember grabbing her hair with one hand and punching her with the other. And then I didn't remember after that. We fell out really bad behind it. And it took us years to reconnect. But I wasn't in the wrong because she was the one intoxicated, not me. And she mushed me in my face. You have to be careful who you play games with. And even though this is her sister, if my sister would have did that to me, I got to be honest, I probably would have been fighting her too. Okay, maybe not. I love my sister. Let me rephrase. I would have mushed her back. I would have did something. It wouldn't have been what this was. Because Amy was really coming at Amanda hard. But I also wouldn't have been arguing back and forth with Amy because I know me and I don't respond well to all of that. Don't huff and puff in my face and act like you the big bad wolf if you're not ready to back it up. Just don't do it because I'm not going to do it to you. I'm a lover now, not a fighter. She says, I'm sorry. I'm not that type of person. They just push me too far. They just push me and they nag me. And Tammy was nagging me because of Glenn. And if you're making excuses for what you did, then you're not sorry. At this point, I feel like she's only apologizing because nobody was talking to her and everybody scattered. And she needs Justin, who's Amanda's child, to take her home. Tammy says, Amy, all I was trying to do was to calm you down. I wasn't trying to come at you. I saw you were flustered and I was trying to calm you down. You then have her telling Tammy she needs to apologize to Amanda. Tammy says Amy needs to calm down. She needs to go home and she needs to get help because at this point she thinks she's hit rock bottom. And I'll add she needs to stop filming. We then see her go outside to find Amanda and she says to Amanda that she's sorry. And Amanda says, I need you to walk away. And Amanda is me because you're not going to do me like that and then think you're going to give me some quick apology and we're going to brush it under the rug like we always do. No, you need to sit in this and realize that what you've done is wrong and you can't keep on using your circumstances as a reason to lash out at people. Amanda says, I came out here to get away from you. Go away and get your crap together. And that's basically how they end this scene. Y'all, don't disown me because I would have punched Amy in the face. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe. Tell me below, what would you have done if Amy did to you what she did to Amanda? So if Amy mushed you in the face, pushed you, called you all types of big B's, what would you do? Thanks for joining me. Until next time.